Daily Detroit is brought to you by the community. Support our work at patreon.com/dailydetroit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Daily Detroit. It is Monday, July 17th, 2023. Today's episode is a little bit of sports, a little bit of development, and a little bit of drinks. I'm Jared Stays, and joining me on the line is
Fletcher Sharpe.
So here's the thing. We're going to start with something fun on this Monday. And one of our kind of favorite segments of listeners is always where we've been or when we've tried something. And so last week came out this thing called the Pure Michigan Mix. I got some people writing in wanting to know our thoughts. Now, this is not an expensive treat. This is like $2 at your participating McDonald's. And this is not sponsored. This is just like, hey, we're going to go try something like local. And so we both gave it a spin so people know it's a Fanta Blue Raspberry and a Sprite Lymonade slushie, kind of like put together in a way that reminds me of the concoctions one would come up with at a convenience store or something like that. Why don't you go first, Fletcher, and I'll go on the other one. We can make some notes.
I tried it. It's not bad. Like on a scale of like 1 to 10, I'd give it like maybe like a 6.5, 7. It's just kind of to your point. I've made this before at a 7-Eleven, and like I thought I was like a mad scientist. Like, ooh, look at me mixing stuff together. Now it's gonna be green, and like. So to see that it came out as like an actual thing that's been branded and such, I'm like, like, well, I guess I should speak to someone about getting one of my own concoctions with someone so I can do something too. But yeah, it's not bad. It's just, I've had it before, so I'm not like blown away. But you know, I mean, for someone who hasn't had it before, I could see why they would like it a lot.
I feel like we need a recipe for like a daily Detroit slushy mix. That would be fun. Just wherever you're at, whatever you can come up with. I mean, so I liked it. I mean, for the one I got, I don't know about yours, but mine kind of came in like waves. So it was like the blue and the it kind of came together. So it looked a lot like actual water, not clear water, but stereotypical water, which I thought was a neat little touch with it. And it's almost like I almost wish there was like a little like sunrise of orange or something on the top or something like that. But I mean, if mixed together well or like having the waves, I enjoyed it. And for $2, I think the missed opportunity here, though, is they should have done a commemorative cup.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it gives you something to take home. So it's like if you were not wowed by the drink, at least you have this Pure Michigan commemorative cup. I'll say this. Mine was not mixed. I had to mix it myself. Actually, when I even went to the window and ordered through the microphone, the person was like, "You want a what?" And I was like, "The blue and yellow." He's like, "Oh, we don't have no Pure Michigan mix." I was like, "It's on the menu." He's like, "Oh, the blue and yellow thing." So it's very new because some even participating McDonald's don't realize they even have it.
Well, the one I went to, they were ready to go. I mean, for me, do you remember at all? Like, there's like this retro version of Being About Michigan. I've seen T-shirts with it and hats and whatever that has like a robin, because I think that's the state bird, and kind of that retro feel to it. I feel like that could be fun, where you've got, say, the robin and a couple other Michigan things on a cup. I feel like that's something that people would really be into, because like for me, it came in the Grimace cup. And I think Grimace is dead now. Or no, he moved on or something like that.
No, Grimace has a shake at McDonald's too. Like he's still very much alive.
I thought they discontinued it.
Probably because of all the kids on TikTok making those really demonic memes. I think I'd probably stop doing that too. But I mean, if Pure Michigan's listening, you know, you could take these ideas to heart and get in the emails and let's talk.
So I'd give it like an 8. I give it like an 8. As far as pre-mix and ready to go. I think that's my rating. So would you have it again?
Sure. I mean, it's not Popeye's chicken sandwich. I'm not going to, wait in 3 hours in a line for 2 of them, but I will go get one for sure. It's also not like the Burger King taco where they made their own taco. And it's like, if I ever see one of those ever again, I'm going to get irrationally upset. But like,
okay, tell me about this. I don't remember this.
In the last 5 or 6 years, Burger King's like, oh, everyone's doing something. They're making chicken sandwiches. We're going to make tacos. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try that because why not? Like, they're probably going to be bad because, of course, Burger King is not a taco making company. So why not? But I'll give it a shot. And I had one and the shell was like biting a turtle shell, and I was like, this is bad. This is not good. This is not a good time. And like everything was just super like you look online and like I know some people have like a hive mind of like, oh, I look for one thing and I get a bunch of I was trying to find good review. I found none. And Burger King like very quietly took it off their menu after they're supposed to be around for like a few months. It was like on their menu for like 3 weeks maybe. And they're like, oh, never mind. Never mind. People don't want tacos from Burger King. Who knew?
So let's cross over sports and development. Word in the inbox this morning, Gilly's is a dining and entertainment concept, as they call it. But let's be honest, let's look at the renderings, and it looks like a sports bar and kind of that sports bar vibe that is going to be going in at 1550 Woodward in downtown Detroit. Now, that's in what is kind of a remade 3-story building just a little bit south of Grand Circus Park. Some people I've seen online are very confused, and they think that it's in the old or in the current now Detroit Sports Bar and Grill space, but it is not. That's actually owned by Michael Higgins. This is like, I think, next door to that, which I think is going to be interesting for that bar. But yeah, this is going to be honoring Dan Gilbert's son, who recently passed away fighting a lot of health issues. We have talked on this show a number of times about how we need more sports bars, like real lean-in sports bars in downtown Detroit. It looks like we're going to be getting one. They're going to have 40 jobs, 14,000 square feet, and more than 350 seats. There will be a lower-level bar, a first floor with patio dining, and a mezzanine and an outdoor rooftop terrace. So this is going to be like a 3-story thing. So, yeah, I'm definitely interested in this. The opening is slated for 2024 in the press materials. I will put a link to that in the show notes, and also our cover art will be a rendering of that bar. First thoughts?
Some mixed feelings. I think it's a great idea. Really do. I think the city needs one, especially because I just found out today that Chelly's closed down a long time ago. I feel very out of the loop for that. I just wish that it wouldn't have to take so long that Dan Gilbert decides I'm going to do this in 2023. But the fact that it's being built is good because people need somewhere to like watch events and sports downtown. I mean, you could go to Hopcat, but also like.
But it's not really like a dedicated sports bar. It's like more of a craft beer bar.
During the World Cup, it was like a cool thing to have all the TVs watching different games and such. But also you had people who just did not care and would not move, where if you have a kind of more of a sports themed, or maybe not themed, but more of a sports thought out bar, like you have areas where that won't be the case. So like, yeah, again, it is needed. I think it's a good idea. It's just, I really wish we'd had something like this a bit earlier, so it wouldn't be as groundbreaking as it is today.
And if you didn't know, Nick Gilbert, who is the son of Dan Gilbert, died at 26 earlier this year with complications related to neurofibromatosis. See, Detroit, to me, really invented the sports bar. There's some debate around this, but like the Lindell AC, and I remember the last throes of it. It's very much at the beginning of my drinking career. It was a special place, and there were a number of places that had kind of that vibe.
A place that's just literally just for sports, or maybe not just for sports, but it's more sports thought out, really is needed because there are a lot of sports teams here. People care about those, like a lot, to the point where they'll follow the Lions and Tigers and Red Wings like to hell just to see their team do something good. And you want to have them downtown because that's where all the sports teams are. So it feels like you're in the area without needing to be exactly in the stadium.
The Pistons have done pretty well in their Las Vegas Summer League, huh?
Yeah, the Pistons finished 5-1 in the Las Vegas Summer League. I expected them to do well. Like I wasn't expecting them to, go almost undefeated. I'll admit this right now. Season has not started at all, but like I was wrong about Ausar Thompson. Like I know he's playing against people who are closer in age to him than, the NBA players, which he'll be playing against. But like even just now, he looks under control. He's playing to win. We had one game where he had about almost 20 points, a few rebounds, a few assists. He had another game where he had 18 points and 14 rebounds. That's a shooting guard, maybe small forward, who is 6'7". He's a big guy. But like someone saying, I just want to win. After the game, he's like, I truly am here. I just want to win. Like I'm hope to bring some leadership qualities to the locker room, show them that I just want to win games. And like that's the mindset you want about building a team is players who are good players who want to come here and they want to win. If it means I got to score 40 points a night, cool. If it means I got to score 2 points a night and grab a bunch of rebounds, cool. That's the going to work Pistons with Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace, Rasheed. They all are like, I'll do what I need to do to win. The Bad Boys Pistons were the exact same way. So I'm not saying that this team will be that team, but when you have players who want to buy in like that and show you on the court or on the field, that's what you want. And then to top it off, Marcus Sasser, who I don't want to say was like more of a throw-in pick, but he was near the end of the first round the Pistons traded for. He's shown to be a reliable scorer. He scored 40 points their last game. Which is a record for the Las Vegas Summer League. And it shows, like, if called upon, he can score. I don't think he'll be needed to score 40 points this season. But who knows? We know that he can do it now and do it in a bunch of different ways, whether it's layups, whether it's jump shots, whether it's three-pointers, whether it's causing contact, getting to the hoop, getting a layup and one. That's very good to see. You don't want to see someone like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, two-time NBA champion now, so, like, whatever. But when the Pistons were getting ready to draft him, I saw his highlight tape, and like 80% of his highlights were like pull-up jumpers. And I'm like, that's worrisome to me, because if you stop him from shooting jump shots, he's not going to score. And if we're going to draft someone like the top 7 or 8 picks who can only score one way, unless they're like Steph Curry, where like they have a prolific range and what, then that's a problem. And he's not Steph. There's only one Steph Curry, obviously. So to see Marcus Sasser score on many different levels, to see Ausar Thompson do many other things besides just scoring the ball, that's such a relief for a young team. The Pistons might not be good this year. They might, be like the Oklahoma City Thunder when they got Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Nick Collison, when they were like, all right, we'll be bad for a year, then we'll be good the next year. And they were really great for a young team. Pistons might make some noise, maybe make the last few seeds of the playoffs, maybe not. But they're setting themselves up to be good for the future with a young nucleus. And like that's what you really want to see as a sport, in my opinion, as a sports fan. If you're a diehard fan of your team, they might be bad next year, but if they're trying and they're trying to get better, that's what I like. I don't like teams that tank. I've said it many times. But they're going to fight, and they have players who want to fight to be good. So I'm excited for the season coming up. That makes me really happy to watch them play and see how it plays out.
Well, we'd love to hear your feedback, 313-789-3211, or email dailydetroit@gmail.com. I do have one piece of sports feedback before we get to our final segment, Fletcher. The public was clear. They would like an AC. They would like an AL Central pennant. That you had 0 defenders in the comment section for that take.
I typically don't have any defenders. I understand that. It's fine. I know people want a pennant to put up there. It's just I feel weird about it being up there, and you're like, awesome. What was your record? Oh, you were 20 games under 500. Oh, that's cool. You're king of the garbage. It's a pennant, yes, but I would feel weird about it. But then again, I guess if you're a player, it does not matter. You can put on your resume that you have a division championship, regardless of how bad your record was. So yeah, I understand that point. It's just me personally, I wouldn't turn down a pennant. Like even in our soccer league, if we won our division and we were like 3-6-1, I would take it. It's just, I'd be like, don't ask about the record. It doesn't matter. We're the champions of our division. So
kind of reminds me of this kid I knew in high school. Very proud of his science fair win. Come to find out a couple months later, he was the only entrant in the science fair. So of course he got the blue ribbon.
Yeah, it's like those Filipino divers for one of the Olympics where like they qualified for the Olympics and there were only like 4 or 5 divers who competed in the entire like Asian region, and they got to the Olympics. They're like, you know what? We're the worst divers here. We're gonna be heroes when we go back, and they just belly flopped. They're like, we don't care. We're not going to win. We'll just go out there to have some fun. So they went up there and just did cannonballs and belly flopped. The judges were like, 0. But when they went back to the Philippines, they were heroes because they qualified for the Olympics, which is a very big thing to do, even if you're only competing against 2 other people. So like, I understand the sentiment because again, awards and titles mean things. It's just, I would hope that you'd want to be over 500 when you receive it. But then again, I guess it doesn't really matter in the long run.
All right. Detroit City FC, we've got 2 matches to talk about. I'm going to keep it real simple. I'm going to kind of look at it as, let's look at the good stuff and look at the bad stuff. And I think the good stuff that we need to talk about straight up was Dario Suarez's performance on Wednesday against Loudoun. Kept us in that match. He almost single-handedly won that match for us. So I want to focus on the good first, because we left that match feeling a bit better about the club and the performance, even though I think there were some missed opportunities. But let's focus on the good first, and then we'll talk a little bit about the, well, not so good.
To me, the best part about that match, which might make some people scratch their heads, was after the game was over, Dario was disappointed.
Yeah, he was on the field just broken.
He went for a bicycle kick to try to win the game after scoring a goal from midfield. It got saved by an amazing save. And everyone else was like, okay, high five. He was on the field dejected. He was like, I can't believe that didn't go in. And even in the interview after the game, he's like, I'm happy to score in front of these fans. They're great fans, but like, we need to win these games. Like, these are games we have to win. We need to go forward, getting all 3 points as much as possible. And I'm like, that's the mindset of somebody who wants to do better. That's the mindset of someone who's like, 1 point is whatever. I don't want 1. I want 3. And like, that's a great mindset to have for someone who's playing. I mean, he's an international level player. He played for Cuba for a few games before defecting. So like, he understands at a higher level, like, yo, we have to do this. This is not where we can rest now. And unfortunately, they seemed to rest a little bit after this match. But the game against Loudoun, they showed some attacking threat. I know after giving away a PK, one of their players, Tommy Williamson, picked up a red for knocking over Nate Steinwasser. So he was gone. So the rest of the game was spent with him having a man advantage. And they put some real heavy pressure on Loudoun's net. It's just, unfortunately, they were just a few inches off. Rich Ballard had a shot that I thought was going into the corner and just skied over. A few crosses in that just looked like they were going to be collected properly and put in, and just they weren't. And of course, Dario's bicycle kick at the end, which honestly, I joke about calling for bicycle kicks in moments that didn't need them. And like, he just went for it. And unfortunately for him and for them, it did not go in.
Let's talk about that other side. 2-0, lost at Pittsburgh, top of the table. We got beat by Lily Ball.
For those who don't understand the reference, Lily Ball, Bob Lilly is the head coach of Pittsburgh. He's known around the league as a very stout defensive coach. He's someone who will happily sit behind the ball, all 11 players, he's like, we'll take a tie. A tie is fine because whatever. He's like, I know you'll break trying to get a goal and we'll counterattack you then. So Bob Lilly does what Trevor James does, except like 3 times better. So that's what happened this game. Was they got a very early goal from some very bad defense that was played. And after that goal was scored in like the 6th minute or so, they spent the rest of the game defending. If you look at the stats, Detroit has way more passes than them. Way more whatever. But like, they lost 2-0 because they got countered twice. And like, that's really all it takes is, especially if you're a team that doesn't really score goals. I didn't realize this. I knew that they had a low goals total. DCFC is the lowest scoring team in the league by a wide margin with 13 goals this entire season. 13 goals is like there are some players who are approaching scoring that many goals by themselves in this league. When you don't score 13 goals, your defense has to be great all the time. You cannot afford to have any slip-ups or any sort of mistakes. And like the first goal they gave up, literally a guy got the ball on the left wing, looked up, saw his forward standing between 3 defenders, 2 center backs, 1 midfielder. Saw him standing there by himself and just passed him a very easy ball. The forward took the ball, turned, and took a shot and scored. Nate was left for dead. That's what just happened. Nothing. There was no running down on him until after he'd already taken the shot. The second goal was a bad foul by Dom Gasso, and I'll say it's a bad foul. People got mad at me on social media, and I'll explain why. In soccer, you play the sport with your feet, not your hands. If you put your hands on somebody and they fall over, like, that's a foul. Even if they dove, like, diving's not great, but like, it's a foul by the rule book. So the ref has his own discretion. So if you don't put your hands on them, the ref can't call that foul. But if you put your hands in his back and he falls over, the ref could say you pushed him. So like, while it's not necessarily a very, very soft call, but it's the right call. I would want it if you put your hands in my back. And unfortunately for them, the ensuing free kick, Burke failing, it bounced off Maxi's neck and went the other way, and Nate dove to the left, and the ball ricocheted back to the right for the second goal of the game. And that was really it from that point forward. It was so bad to the point to where the commentators for the game were talking about like mayonnaise in the 80th minute. They had no indication about talking about the actual game at that point, which lets me know like they tuned all the way out, and they're the ones supposed to be telling us what's happening in the game. So yeah, it was a beat down in the sense that like, even though they were only down 2-0, you knew for sure they were not coming back. It wasn't any sort of late last minute rally. It's like, okay, this game's over now. Like we can watch something else.
Well, this busy schedule continues. Fellow Fleur crested Opponents Louisville City FC is on Wednesday at 7, and Monterey Bay comes to town on Saturday at 7:30, both at Keyworth. Fletcher Sharpe, so good to talk to you. You can yell at him at Saint FDW on Twitter.
And also on Threads, if that's your thing, too.
That's right. We're all on Threads. That's the thing. Daily Detroit on Threads. Also, a reminder, we've only got a few more days to go with this. It's the end of the month. podcastawards.com, best news and politics category. Give us a nomination. Every nomination matters for the chance in this national competition, and thank you very much. With that, I'm Jer Stays.
And I'm Fletcher Sharpe.
Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around Detroit.